and hopping on that Insano observer cam in the bottom left. In the red from Red Dragons, it's RazerBlader.
And up here in the top right-hand side, the champion of the Philippines and a connoisseur of Zerg. It is the one and only EnDerr.
And representing Liab Esports. I'm actually not sure how to say that. But
yes, I was looking at it earlier and I was like, Liab.
Someone correct us. I'm sure someone out there knows.
My favorite is there'll be like 5 people who will all try to spell it out phonetically in the chat, and they'll all be different. Be like, but I'm very excited to see where this match goes. You know, I'm super duper hyped. I always think about it and I kind of say, okay, if I was to put myself in the player's shoes, you know, how do I approach this matchup? And I think about it from RazerBlader's point of view, and well, I don't know. I think EnDerr is so free-flowing. I look at his play as a commentator, as someone who's trying to learn from him, as an opponent. I try to put myself through many lenses, and I feel like he's free-flowing. I don't look at his playstyle and say, oh, his build is to do exactly this and this and this. It feels like there's so many reactions and ways where, you know, if something goes a different way, he kind of just very drastically shifts. And I think it's a mixture of that flexibility combined with the fact that he's expanded his skill set that has led to his success this year. I think he can, like you said, go up to a much higher worker count than he used to. He can spread creep across the map behind his aggression. Now, he's not going to get there in the same streamlined path like, say, like a Knapshar, you know, one of this school of snoot zergs, you know, kind of like a Risky would go for, right? But he's definitely capable of getting to that stage and playing out a really powerful late game, as well as just doing crazy all-ins. And it's that which is going to keep RazerBlader guessing. Now, RazerBlader is going to block the third base, something we don't see as much these days, but no Zergling's going to go across the map to punish it. And in fact, no Zergling's built at all. EnDerr here, trying to just squeeze out as many drones as he can.
Yeah, cutting a couple of corners. Going to be a bit of a pest now that he's got that block to deal with. Can he avoid paying the Reaper tax? Because RazerBlader, I mean, it's not the greatest ping to micro on, but it is possible to pick off a worker or two. He does relent, though, and let EnDerr take that third hatchery. So we'll see where he goes from here as we have a pretty quiet early game. Nothing wild coming out. And I suppose it's in RazerBlader's court to see what he wants to harass with.
Definitely, it looks like RazerBlader is just feeling things out, you know, going for the quick second gas. The Banshee, I believe, is what we're going to be seeing coming out of here. But actually, as he powers up a Marine, my thoughts are with an Armory. I am thinking about Hellbats. Immediately seeing that extra Marine start up there, I'm like, ooh, okay. I think we might see a Viking and then a Medevac, or just a Medevac straight up, actually. We'll see exactly what is opted for. The Overlord will come in, sees no tech lab on the barracks. It's going to try and save its life for now.
Yeah, just barely squeezes in a bit of vision. I love that RazerBlader has a couple of units there to try and deny the scouting, because obviously, oh, you called it, there's that armory coming down. If you can prevent the vision here, that's when it really packs a punch. That said, EnDerr is already producing some links. He's going for that Bane nest at the front here as well. Gives him a bit of a wall with the queens, but that's some useful equipment if you do have those beefier, flamey units being dropped in your face. Hopefully you can get a good hit on those, but you know, still some good potential for damage.
Exceptionally safe play here from EnDerr. I think EnDerr watched that same video that I did right before the broadcast of RazerBlader, you know, burning Mio Micah with Hellbats to death, because he clearly, I think just seeing no add-on on the barracks, he made the read immediately that this was going to be that Hellbat timing again. It's a good attack. A Liberator will follow it up. Of course, there will be 6 Hellions. Sorry, there's only, 6 out, 2 more rallying. Banelings are already morphing, though. I think he should be totally fine. He's got a Ling Run by coming in. The Wall-Off is not ready. Oh, this is going to be really brutal. RazerBlader needs to micro these 2 Hellions at home perfectly.
Yeah, you know, there's confidence here with holding the attack when you can spare some units to go and target down those mules. Immediately, the Banelings are ready. Queen's taking those initial hits on the front lines. Oh, actually good splits by RazerBlader, not killing too much with those Banelings. Mostly just a bit of damage, but it looks like there's plenty here still for EnDerr to deal with this, using those Queens beautifully, and 2 Lings still alive in the main base of RazerBlader.
Well, you know, 2 SCVs in mining time, that could have been a lot worse there for RazerBlader. Keeps the medevac alive. Liberator is now working its way across the map. But, oh, those 2 Banelings, the Southeast Asian Banelings, the Oceanic Banelings. Oh my god, I love it. Usually a feature of our Zerg vs. Zerg region. The Zerglings distract on the front, the Banelings in the main.
Oh, beautiful hit.
Oh my gosh, you never see that in this matchup, but EnDerr just taking the opportunity. He says, hey, this is a really chaotic situation. Let's hide those in the corner, morph Banelings, and well, now he is in a fantastic position. Remember, up to that point, it wasn't that great because he built the Baneling Nest and Zerglings so early, but now 51 drones to 35, double Evo chambers, 4th hatchery on the way. EnDerr gets so much freedom and map control here. It's going to be really tough for RazerBlader to keep him back.
Yeah, really nice decision making. There's no hesitation in that whole sequence. He knew exactly what his opportunities were here, and he seems to have read RazerBlader like a book. Now he doesn't, excuse me, I was going to say he doesn't have any spores to deal with this Liberator, but he does have one planted on the side of that 3rd base there, ready for that annoying Liberator position. Of course, there's always a spot you can park that unit. So with a quick pull away, and maybe if he can get close enough with the Queen, he will be able to deflect that without losing too much.
Nice Liberator micro so far, being as annoying as possible. Does grab himself a drone, a bunch of mining time, but Queen's going to come in for the revenge, take down the Liberator, and EnDerr there smoothly working forwards. Now, EnDerr's massing Zerglings right now, and this is a very EnDerr thing to do. Way ahead, absolutely safe. Could be going to 70, 80 drones right now, but is going to massling Bane. And to me, with 1-1 Baneling speed on the way, I'm kind of going, okay, you're not getting the classic advantage in the workers in terms of like massively saturating the 4th, but by golly, there's going to be a huge army out. And that means you can defend at home while doing huge run-bys and backstabs. And the Zerglings are down there. I'd like them to hide themselves for EnDerr. If he shows them, I think it's a little bit of a waste here. Oh,
but the door's open. Does he close it? He does not, and that's an insane amount of Lings getting in here. He has free reign over those SCVs, the Lings on the natural low ground there, getting taken out.
Yeah.
He probably wants a few more worker kills than that, though. That's a lot of Lings for very little return.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about, because there's no pressure on the map. I think he thought RazerBlader would be moving out with the double drop already, so he thought he had a lot more time. Those Southeast Asia Banelings will not finish. There is no way. No. RazerBlader's learned his lesson.
Yeah, nicely done. Still finding some damage over at the 3rd base, though. And he's got more on the way. The Banelings don't quite have speed yet. Probably wants to take a breather just so that can kick in, maybe with the 1-1-2. So he doesn't lose too much there. Starting to push the creep spread out a little bit. EnDerr isn't typically the heaviest creep spreader you'll see in the region, but he does get like at least a bit of connection between his bases. Would love to see him spread that out a little bit more, especially if RazerBlader is going to start pushing, but EnDerr's aggression is keeping him back.
Oh, Zerglings there running around at that 3rd base. Don't really find much just yet, but keeping RazerBlader scared, while EnDerr, as we said, has so much freedom. He was so far ahead earlier, and even though RazerBlader is creeping ahead in supply is not everything. This is indeed a 4-base Zerg who's actually just finished a 5th base, 76 workers to 57. And with the Spire finishing up as well, it's going to add a lot more to this. RazerBlader's macro is really looking good, though. I mean, the way his supply is climbing ahead a little is nice. EnDerr's still roaming around with Zerglings, but definitely lacking just a little bit in his map vision, I feel. As the creep gets out there, that is being rectified. He's got some Overlord spotters on the edge, so he should get some warning. And he's already got a squad of Zerglings in the main base.
Yeah, you saw that double drop coming through with those Lings that he had spare for another run by. And RazerBlader not going to risk it straight off the bat. Oh, the mine hit could be juicy, but a split from EnDerr loses just a bunch of Lings there as RazerBlader lifts up towards that right-hand side. He's got some units at the top left as well, just a few Marines, not enough to cause too much grief, but he is at least now aware that that hatchery is there, and he gets a little bit of forewarning of these mutas. Unfortunately, going to lose these units on their way home.
Only focusing down one. It's not a great trade there for RazerBlader individually, but he is just trying to hang on and buy time. RazerBlader has identified that he is far behind in this game, and he is going to sit back and try to max out, adding Thor's mines. Two upgrades are on the way, of course. With 2 factories as well, the Drilling Claws is now going to finish up. It's up on that 5 barracks production, powering out Marines. And you can always just weather a storm of Lingbane Muta and defend and then survive and win, right? Because the fights are efficient. The problem is, right now, that is a huge army for EnDerr, and that third base is looking very exposed. These Widow Mines are going to need to be big in this next engagement.
Yeah, he's already got a pretty good spread with those, and he's pre-split his bio units as well. It's not the easiest spot for EnDerr to attack into, but basically if RazerBlader tries to move out, you can almost guarantee EnDerr's either going to swarm the army completely or he's going to go for some big backstabs, which makes it very difficult for RazerBlader to make any decisive moves here. Already EnDerr going to try another option to attack in with this huge flood of Lings, and Muta, ooh, not a huge amount of Banes on the floor here. He's going to try and go up onto that ramp. Some carnage there with that Marine stim.
Nice split off. Banelings get in the natural min line, 13 SCVs, and as much as a lot of Zerglings did go down there, EnDerr can take these trades all day. Looking to keep him off the fourth base. Of course, RazerBlader, on the other hand, does keep the fourth command center alive. He's going to try and establish that. Most of his Widow Mines are up on his third, though. I think keeping up Widow Mine production when you're in survival mode like this is basically everything. Don't stop building SCVs. Don't stop building Widow Mines. And as long as you've always got more Widow Mines backing everything up, there's a chance. There's hope that you can defend the Link Bane onslaught. Those are the great equalizers that can really get bang for buck. But if you're ever out of Widow Mine shots, EnDerr will roll through, and the numbers are such, it won't even look close, because the Banelings will just overwhelm the Marines so quickly.
Hive is finishing up as EnDerr readies another attack over here. It doesn't have a bank yet, but he's getting towards that point where he may start building a bit of one. It's mostly Lings and Banes that he's been making this whole time. Blocks another drop here on the right-hand side. RazerBlader getting pretty stuck for harassment options. EnDerr's just all over him like a rash.
But the fourth base is up. 3-3 upgrades are ahead for RazerBlader. It's just a matter of can he handle the late game EnDerr. EnDerr is opting for Ultralisk tech. 3-3 upgrades in Adrenal Glands are all starting up around the same time. No sign of spellcasters or any of that sort of complexity. No sign of a Great Aspire for Broodlords or extra air upgrades. So seems to be a mostly Lingbane army. And here we go, coming in from the left-hand side. There are a few Widow Mines, but not a lot of bio support. Can they hold on? Oh, that third base is in trouble.
Ooh, he does lift it. A lot of SCVs going down. The Banelings on the right-hand side do get mowed down, and EnDerr's going to pull back with what he has left. A bit of a supply block there for RazerBlader. A couple mutas cleaned up at the end of that fight as well. And EnDerr's just... looks like he's just trying to bludgeon him to death, really. RazerBlader's work account looking a little bit gross again. But, you know, he's holding on. He's weathering the storm. A bit unfortunate that he's supply blocked and can't really macro back up too quickly, but 3-3 is about to kick in.
Ooh, this is it. Okay, finally. I was like, you know what? It looks like maybe he's about to stabilize, but so many SCVs just went down. 19 mutas fly on out of there. I like that these Thors are getting boosted around to help defend. Ooh, Marines there looking to wrap around, see if they can catch the mutas, but EnDerr's watching.
And he will slip out of there. So nice for EnDerr there. RazerBlader again looking a little bit stuck. He's got the 3-3 now. I don't know, do you just keep trying to turtle, or do you take everything and go? Because now we got Ultras coming out.
Well, there's no SCV production, and that tells me RazerBlader just wants to finish his supply with army. Now, he's going to still play defensive for another minute or two, but I basically think he wants EnDerr to kind of bludgeon into him, take a bad fight, and then shove across the map with a huge army, like 150 army supply right now. He's rebooting a couple of SVs. He does have a 5th command center. It's just the Ultras pose the big problem, as well as the fact that he's getting spread out as a Terran player right now. He's got 82 Marines, which is awesome. A couple Thors, 7 Widow Mines. The problem is, if you ever get caught with those Marines against the Banelings, they go down really hard. If they ever get caught against the Ultras, well, what is there to kill Ultras right now? Not a lot, and that is what's missing. I really do think RazerBlader needs to be upping that Marauder count. These Ultras are big, big threat right now.
He's coming in from 2 angles at once. Half the army on each side. Not an ideal engagement here for EnDerr, actually. He has to pull out of that right-hand side. Doing some damage here at the third base again. A few more workers will go down. Got to pull out of there with the mutas. It looks like that Ultra will survive. But EnDerr's just continuing to remake that army. Oh, hello, Ultra.
Oh, and Orbital is going down in the main, though. And RazerBlader, he's going to lose the main base Orbital. Oh, full-on energy as well. The Thors are not loaded into the medevacs. It's so hard to organize and defend. And even more SCVs are going to be going down here. EnDerr's just got so much money to work with. Anytime he finds a fight like this, it's looking good for him. He's even, of course, got the accidental swarm host that's randomly popped out. It's kind of wandering around the map right now, but the mutas, they found damage, and I like the patience with them, right? It wasn't forcing the mutas to find damage, but just keeps on out positioning RazerBlader. Now, RazerBlader is going to try and push down the left of the map, but look at that. Base on the right goes down, mutas are on the production in the main, and suddenly it's not just one big powerful push, it's a base trade. EnDerr does not need to even fight that army. He just needs to slow it down while he cleans up the economy at home.
Yeah, and he's already been chipping away at it so much that there's only 28 workers left. A beautiful pre-split here from RazerBlader, but there's a lot of EnDerr on the map as well, and he's moving forward with these Banelings, with the Ultras. One Swarm Host in for the ride as well. Some decent hits, and he's actually dwindling with the numbers on the front lines there. RazerBlader's army does lose a little bit of its size. More Banelings crashing in now as well with the Ultras, and that's gotta be it.
25 Banelings in the mix there. Ouchie. That's a good Baneling remax there. EnDerr in charge of that game ever since the start. The Overlord came in, and of course he scouted. What did he scout? Simple tell. No add-on on the barracks. It's building. There's nothing for that starport to swap. Baneling nest, Zerglings. The Ling run by hitting. No wall off at home. Caused a big disruption. 2 SCVs, lost mining time, and defended at home. Looked good for EnDerr, but then those 2 Banelings in the corner of the main. I mean, that was a huge lead from that moment onwards.
Yeah, really rough for RazerBlader. He tried to weather the storm to the best of his ability, had some promising looking moments, but ultimately not really able to get out on the map after this initial push. EnDerr handling it very nicely with the Queens, with a few Banelings, and also finding enough for the counterattack as well.
Yeah.
I feel like there was hardly a moment, oh, what a hit, in this game where EnDerr wasn't in RazerBlader's face with something.
Absolutely, definitely. He was all over it, and I mean, he had the advantage to do that. I do have one criticism. I think RazerBlader did a lot of things right from behind to give himself some chances to get back in, just wasn't quite on top of the defense. You know, he was really saying, look, let's just try to be in the perfect position, use walls, use defender's advantage, and catch up that way. But I would actually say if you're going up against Mutiling Bane here, with the ping situation that it is, you know, choosing to play from the UK, you're gonna have to make sure you adjust your army. That's an 85 Marine army there pushing on creep. I think what you want to do is go a little bit more Marauder heavy, and you actually want to do that early. It's kind of unique, cool style. But DRG versus Dream from the War Chest Team League is the match that I think of, where Dream actually went 3 of his first 5 barracks with Tech Labs, tons of Marauder mine, not as many Marines, still had the Thors mixed in, and that way you can kind of set up this tankier composition that's not as Twitch micro-focused, right? It's not as glass cannon, the way a heavy Marine force is always, even with no ping disadvantage or anything, it's dicey. If you get forced on creep deep, you're just going to get wrecked by Banelings like we saw at the end of that game. So I think maybe if it's more Mutiling Bane, we may need to see a heavier Marauder mix, but obviously we'll see exactly how he chooses to play it.
Yep, game number 2 coming up shortly. It will be Submarine, but we're going to take a quick break first. Don't go anywhere, and when we come back, we'll have a new map. Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're just joining us, we have just done our first map of the night between EnDerr and RazerBlader. It's our first series of the playoffs for the Oceania and rest of Asia region. It's gonna be a good one. Good, solid aggression from EnDerr in the first game. Can RazerBlader recover in the second game, Pig?
It's going to be a tough one after a first game. Didn't go quite his way, but things were off the rails pretty quick, right? A failed hellbat timing didn't work out. And I think going into Submarine, I'm not sure what RazerBlader has been practicing lately, but I would not mind mech play here. I think there's a lot of different ways you can take advantage of it, but it's mostly about surviving. A Zerg picking the smallest map in the pool against you. Well, hairs are going to be standing on end. You're going to be checking behind every door, in every nook and cranny for crazy Zerg players about to jump out at you wearing a scary mask and, of course, wielding a knife. This man has to be on his toes. He's got to scout well. He is, of course, RazerBlader.
And his opponent in the blue in the top left. Up one in the series, it's EnDerr.
He's seen it all and is back here once again playing in a big match. And can open up with a 16 gas and 16 spawning pool there as well. So it's quite a fast pool gas combo. Could be used for a speedling flood attempting to cancel the low ground command center. Could be used for early roaches and ravagers coming across the map. I don't even mind something like the old, just 3 or 4 roaches turning into ravagers, speedlings flooding behind it, just bust on through. RazerBlader is not SCV scouting just yet. And it looks like his SCV on his barracks has actually been queued to go across the map and then go home. So he is planning to scout. He'll see the natural being late. The problem for him is then the Reaper has to stay at home to defend any potential early Zerglings. And that means, how do you get your follow-up scout? Is he going to leave the SCV on the other side of the map? Is the Reaper going to try and get across? Not 100% sure what he's going to try for now. 6 Zerglings on the way. Ling speed going to start up. Ooh, it's going to be that very fast Ling flood.
EnDerr seems to like the Ling-based strategies tonight, at least so far. And I gotta say, I did like RazerBlader's build of choice to open up with the Hellbats in the first game, because when you're playing these Zergs like Mio and EnDerr who do rely on that light tech, these Zerglings, in Mio's case the Hydras as well, it seems like it should really pack a punch, but EnDerr seems to have done some good research here. He's reserving those Lings for the moment.
Ling speed's been spotted though. I like this response. The bunker on the low ground. Now that one, I actually prefer to tuck it in a little bit more next to the command center, because this one can get completely surrounded. Whereas if you tuck it between the command center and the gas, you can actually already have the top of it blocked, and then you can also plug the area between the bunker and the gas with a single SCV on hold position, which means you can block off the back side of the bunker. A couple of little details, but that's if EnDerr goes ham on the Zerglings, which, having been scouted, it appears he's not even going to try. He says, okay, just a macro build now. That's fine. You're going to take safety precautions. I've seen your bunker now with the Overlord. These Zerglings that are thinking about coming in, they're still going to try it as Ling speed finishes, see if they can get just 1 or 2 SCVs.
And he comes, he'll get at least 1 worker, maybe.
No. And mules were dropped in the main there as well, which is really good prep by RazerBlader. So I'm very impressed. I really like that preparation. Nice to see the Reaper though. Uh-oh.
Oh, tried its best, but does get cleaned up. Third base going to come down there for EnDerr behind that. And unfortunately, with the Reaper dying, you don't get 100% confirmation that that was actually built, but I think you might have seen the drone come down anyway, so hopefully he knows what's going on there. The Lings are going to continue to be a little bit annoying here. I mean, he made them, so he may as well use them, and otherwise that just gives him a bit of vision and a bit of cleanup power too if there's some harassment units coming over from RazerBlader. And ooh, okay, we have ourselves the follow-up.
Yeah, Liberator does start up there. I like that a tech lab got built, and then the Overlord left, so he was like, cool, now I don't even need to swap it, and you won't know. But EnDerr has a large brain and likes information, sends his Overlord right back in. He's like, okay, quick stim, and no add-on on the starport, which means you don't need to bother with Spore Crawlers. You still might get one or two if once you see a Liberators out, but you can skimp. You don't need to mass Queens for Battle Cruiser. You don't need to prepare for Banshees or anything like that. This is all great information for EnDerr. He's building a quick Roach Horn behind this. Doesn't really have a lot of supply banks, but 4 Overlords about to pop. Yeah, Ravager Ling is definitely going to be the call.
A common one on this map, giving you a rush distance there, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. I mean, a Liberator is a nice tool to have. Does get sniped down by those biles, though, once the army gets close enough to reach that. Few Hellions banking up here for RazerBlader. He might be looking for some stray creep tumors. If he has the opportunity, he may even dive into a mineral line, try and get some worker kills, but playing it safe on the edges of the creep for the moment. Let's see if this Liberator can get anything done.
Great angle. The Sporter and the Queen don't get any hits off, even though EnDerr was anticipating it coming to this base. Came further to the left than he realized. Loses 3 drones before he reacts. Now the Hellions, I don't think they've spotted the Ravagers just yet. There is a tank building. There is a bunker up. Actually, he must have, because there's another bunker on the way. I think he saw it.
Yeah, there's some roaches heading across the map already, and he's been pretty active with those Hellions, so he's spotted the units. And already starting to get a good SimCity up the front here. Oh, careful with those
Hellions
Lings, my friend.
The Hellions are trapped, though. They can't get between that bunker and the ramp. So this is it's a good position for stopping the Lings, but they're also a little bit exposed. I think if you lose all of those Hellions, it could be kind of dangerous. But you know what? Already back to droning is EnDerr. Oh, very nice here for EnDerr. Oh, the tank is stuck on the high ground. The tank, he just lifted off his barracks. He still couldn't get his tank out. RazerBlader, oh, that's so unfortunate. I was like, where is the tank? He started that like a minute and a half ago. But it was something. They lifted his barracks, tried to land it. It still couldn't get out. He needs to lift both barracks if he wants to get that tank out of there. He's given up. He's like, oh, whatever. I'll just wait for another tank to come.
2 supply drops on those depots as well. If he gets some vision there, then he can file those down too. It must feel like Christmas for EnDerr, being able to just harass freely here. No tank shots to be worried about, and there's not even that many units to be put into these bunkers. So while the preparation was good, nice last minute salvage there, he's still in a bit of a tough spot here. Now with this other tank coming in, now he does have to be a little bit more careful from that splash. So RazerBlader gonna have a bit of a better position here, but still fairly backed up into that nat.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the way that was played out. 4 depots, 3 Hellion kills, 4th base is on the way, 5th hatchery as well, the macro hatch. 1-1 upgrades, 57 drones are out. We know how EnDerr feels. If he's got 3 mineral lines, he's happy. He really doesn't care to have too much more than that. Like, he's like, hey, as long as I can mass my Ling Bane, I'm good. I'm feeling happy and comfortable. You're on 2 bases right now. I've got my 4th on the way. Like, this is just, once again, EnDerr with massive control over the map. The early game seems to have gone his way. He's scouted, he's reacted. He's gotten himself a nice little lead and 13 more workers powering up. I'm loving the way EnDerr's opening up in this series.
Yeah, and he's already got a pretty solid ground force. Morphing in a couple of Banes here as he saturates that 4th base a little bit. He finished up the macro hatch as well and is now looking towards that Spire Tech as well. So he's really got everything going for himself right now. That production tab looking pretty good.
Oh no, RazerBlader. He just built an armory blocking his only way out of his base. He just did a genius depot to block the spot where the tanks kept popping, but then he put an armory down, which was the only way out of his base. He cannot fit tanks in and out of his base right now. RazerBlader, it's just full chaos because of the SimCity, because of this early pressure that EnDerr's put on. And now RazerBlader, he's got to do something with this push because his base is in chaos.
It's not every day that you see the SimCity have this much of an effect. Ooh, and it comes in from the back. He's isolated the tanks away from the bio. Takes a second to take him out, but now this bio is pretty much naked. Not too many Banes in here. No Bane speed just yet. It's a little ways off, so being off creep, RazerBlader can hold on for the moment. Going to take the opportunity to snipe a tumor there, but I think EnDerr should be able to clean this up. He may want to pull back a little here. He does take a breather and starts the march back towards his base. He's about to discover what you just pointed out, Pig. Oh, that's so sad.
Oh, this is, yeah. And I mean, yeah, he's figured it out. He's just looked at it. I'm on his camera. He's just trying to lower depots and get in and out, but he doesn't actually have a solution here. So he's kind of, you know, he's glancing around his base. I'm on his camera, and he's really just, he's lifting his barracks. He's trying to land it. It's really, really bad. Even moving his barracks is not going to help. He gets ambushed in the middle of the map while he's trying to deal with this. His tanks, now it looks like they can get out over that depot. Oh, the 5-minute dilemma of getting your tanks in and out of your base. This is really not the way he wanted to start it. I gotta say, hats off to him for not missing a beat with his macro while all that happened. He has been spending his money perfectly. He's on 70 SCVs. He's got a double drop that's going to start clearing creep, but mutas are about to hit the field. He cannot be affording to lose any of these units.
Yep, instantly picks up here after cleaning up a bit of creep. I do like that he's being quite diligent about sniping whatever tumors he can get a hold of. Takes a scan there into the main. You'll see that infestation pit on the edge of the vision there, so he can get an idea of that hive timing. And cleaning up this overlord here as well. But he has really been bullied off the map once again, and now mutas are in play, and they did a sensational job for EnDerr in the last game.
Turret will finish on the natural. Both turrets will actually, just barely in time, so going to be able to defend there quite nicely. Mutalisk goes down there for his trouble, not bad. Second factory is now building a tech lab as well. Now, he's only building tanks right now, and double tech lab for RazerBlader. I wonder if he's just going to double down on the tanks. You got to remember, here on Submarine, there's a lot of cool ledges, so maybe going to do like a slow tank push across. Can always add some Thors in there as well, of course, to help deal with the Mutalisks. They're not as good against the Lingbane as the Mines, but some options do open up.
RazerBlader moves out with a small squad of Marines, and EnDerr elects to actually just engage it. He's got some links to support there on the bottom, and RazerBlader will get a glimpse of just how big this army is, and he's probably getting some flashbacks to game 1 at the moment with the constant attacks from EnDerr. Now, this map does give you a bit more of a defensive position, so it's not as easy to get those run-bys, those backstabs into the natural. But as RazerBlader moves out here, there may be an opportunity to try and get in there. He's going to be looking for those no creep zones and securing this high ground, but EnDerr's already here.
Oh, those Marines are in a corner. Oh, God, the bailing hits are just disgusting. EnDerr ready to jump on top. Takes a ridiculous engagement. We just saw 60 Marines go down in that fight, and oh, wow. I'm not showing any of my Terran children that. That was horrible.
No. That was carnage. Poor RazerBlader can't catch a break here. He's a really strong player. He's got some really great macros, you pointed out, and he can absolutely contest some of the top players in this region, but tonight just feels a little bit off for him. You know, he's his own worst enemy with the SimCity for a little bit. Early push is not going right for him, and things are just not really working out. And once again, he goes for another drop here. EnDerr looks like he's just about to spot it with that Overlord. So maybe next time, now that he's cleaned up that vision. I do like that he continues to try and send out small groups of units, though.
Yeah, doing something to at least push back the vision, but I think it's not even that RazerBlader is playing bad or anything. It's just that EnDerr is winning the early game, right? He's getting so much momentum for himself, and we're seeing mid-game onwards where EnDerr's like always so far ahead in army supply. He's ahead on bases tech. There's like no point where RazerBlader is able to distract EnDerr and pull his attention around. This is a seesaw matchup where it's all about attention, using low APM things like Baneling run-bys, Muta Harass to draw a lot of APM and a lot of reactions from your opponent. But when one guy gets to do that whenever he wants, in the case of EnDerr, and the other guy's literally just sitting there with this tiny pocket of vision in the corner, it's easy for you to move out and bam, EnDerr's already on top of you without you having time to spread your units out. Like, this is just a situation where you're not meant to really come back from these sort of deficits in this matchup, not unless the Zerg makes a big mistake. And EnDerr is just playing so well from ahead. He's very patient. He's looking for these openings. He's just snatching up units. You mentioned his creep spread's not normally one of the best out of the region in terms of Zerg players. Well, in this game, and the previous one, he says, hey, I've got map control. I will cover the entire map in creep spread. You know, if I've got this much dominance, heck yes, I'll take advantage of it.
Yeah, and that just makes it more difficult when RazerBlader actually wants to move out. He has been clearing the creep a little bit, but ultimately, because he's so stuck in his own corner, he doesn't have a huge amount of opportunity to do so. This could be a better time now that there's a base in the bottom left and the top right to try and stretch him out a little bit, but I can't really fault RazerBlader for sitting back either and just trying to weather the storm. Like you said, one bad fight, if EnDerr gets a little bit overzealous here and tries to push in, that might be his opportunity to push, and that's basically how we saw Seetha play against Mio, who was doing something very similar. But it looks like EnDerr has had enough of waiting around. He's going to try and bust through 4 tanks here. This could pack quite a punch against the army. A lot of that cannon fodder is getting absolutely ruined by the Marines.
Oh, those Marines mince the Banelings, but the Ultras get a few powerful Kaiser Blade swipes on the Marines, and the splash damage on that ramp was huge. They're trying to save this command center. It has to lift nonetheless. SCVs have gone down. EnDerr has banked behind this. He's already remaxing on 5 Ultras and another 60 Zerglings. He piles down the siege tank, making use of those 3 Ravagers left over from the very initial push in this game. EnDerr, though, a great trade for him, just clearing the army, resetting RazerBlader's position, while EnDerr still is up on 6 bases.
Yeah, he's at that point where he doesn't mind if the trade isn't exactly beautiful on his end, because he's just going to remake everything. He's even going into a Greater Spire, some Corruptors coming out here as well, and that will help against that very entrenched position that RazerBlader has been trying to take advantage of. But now the attack's going to come from the top and the bottom at the same time. Does he actually have enough to defend this?
Oh, so many Zerglings on the south. Gonna get on top of that base. That command center might go down. The Ultras on the planetary on the north at the same time. It looks like those Ultras, can they out-repair it? Oh, the Drilly Boy is not enough. The Zerglings savage the mineral line. The Ultras run away deep in the red, but their mission was successful. And damn, EnDerr is in charge of this series right now. A 2-0 lead. And he is just not just getting ahead, he's getting ahead, and then he is just mauling his opponent, giving him 0 room to breathe. And these are those demotivating games. How often is a drone going down in these games? I don't know if a single drone's died in this series so far, because the Terran is stuck in his corner of the map.
Yeah, I think he got like 3 whole drone kills from that initial Liberator, and that was it from memory. He really has been stuck for damage against his opponent. EnDerr is looking so dominant. I swear, every season we watch this guy, he's looking that little bit better. I think he's definitely got his sights set on getting that qualification spot this season. Top 4 once again, and yeah, the dominant is the right word, I think, here. The attacks from RazerBlader really didn't even have a chance. He's got separated from his tanks on this one. And then, of course, there was that one in the mid-game where he got absolutely crushed. Even these small drops that RazerBlader was trying to pressure with, just not doing too much.
Yeah, I mean, this one was just... It was, hey, I'm behind, and then it was the you know, 2 minutes of APM down the drain trying to fix the SimCity problem in the main, which... It can happen to the best of us. We've seen, you know, oh, no, it doesn't. No, come on. Sarah would never make that mistake. Well... This 5 Ultralisk stuck behind his wall in the semifinals of BlizzCon last year. Beg to differ. Yeah, it happens to everybody. Every once in a while, especially in these busy games where your opponent's in your face, you know, you just don't quite leave that 2-space gap, that avenue for Thors or tanks to get in and out. And it was a huge problem because he thought he fixed it and he didn't. And then he went back and it ended up draining his APM across maybe 2 or 3 separate engagements.
Yeah, really rough to lose that giant army that he'd built up. That did look like a promising push, right? You take that high ground, you get your tanks spread out, you get set up, and that's not as simple as an A move for EnDerr, but he swooped in there at the right time, the one spot that there wasn't any creep, and he got really great coverage over that army. And I honestly thought he might GG at that point. I was like, oh boy, that's a lot to lose right there. But yeah, he's got to win 3 in a row now. This is best of 5, and EnDerr is now on match point going into Death Aura.
Indeed, a tough call to win 3 in a row versus EnDerr. EnDerr just looks so confident. He looks like he knows exactly how he wants to play. I don't really sense any fear or hesitation in what he's doing. I think EnDerr kind of has his own style, his own realm of play here. He's looking for openings where he can find them, but he's not overcommitting. I don't see, you know, sometimes you see someone winning, but you're like, oh, this, it seems reckless, right? Like Mio Micah is a reckless Zerg player, but EnDerr, he doesn't seem reckless. Yes, he plays a little different. He's mixing in some aggression, but it's like calculated jabs to throw his opponent off and really confident follow-ups. There was a tank, there was a bunker, there was a wall. Stopped building Zerglings, immediately went back to droning in that last game. I mean, this has been awesome play from the Zerg. We're going to see, does it continue? It is his last life. He has to win the next 3 maps in a row. He's got to stay confident and stronger to continue the momentum he's been building up this season. Down here in the bottom right hand side in the red, the one and only RazerBlader. Playing for Red Dragons Esports.
And his opponent from Liab Esports in the blue trunks on match point, it's EnDerr.
Wouldn't it be great if we actually made them wear, like, maybe not shorts because we can't see them, like, or trunks, but maybe like a wrestling leotard, kind of, you know, those like things, like a blue one and a red one, and we can kind of just like ship those out to the players, get them to wear them on camera. I think might be a bit hard to get the players on board. I think some of them would be down with it though.
Yeah, for sure. We should raise that with the teams. Actually, get, you know, that should be the new jersey, right?
Hells yeah. Get the I mean, we've got to one up the classic, you know, 2001 spacesuits on a like rotating desk inside the audience, weird setups of the original StarCraft esports tournaments. You're like, what am I watching right now? Is he wearing a spacesuit? Why is it so shiny? Did they take all of those holographic Pokemon cards and make a costume out of it? I'm very confused.
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of those like really extras 80s glam metal performances. Those sort of bands, they would come out with something ridiculous like that. They've got like a drum kit that hovers over the crowd or something. We need something like that, you know, spice it up. Get some costume changes in.
Yeah, well, I guess we're going to have to try and encourage the players at least to start off small. Maybe some bandanas for next season. Something cool like that. Cool beanie. We'll see, of course, as once again, RazerBlader opening up with his very confident just opening. SCV Scout. Reaper's going to join up. Going to deny the third base for a little bit. Now, EnDerr just doesn't like building Zerglings at the start. Now, this is actually wild because building Spore Crawlers is usually pretty bad. Like, if you've built 4 Zerglings and then you got to do a couple of Spore Crawler tricks to save your workers, it costs you a lot of money and already getting punished for it. One drone goes down. Another one, barely saves itself as a Spore. This one, and saves it at the last second. The question is, though, if you've built 2 extra drones instead of 4 Zerglings, you lose none of them and you make 3 Spore tricks, which if he didn't make any mistakes, he could have done. Are you ahead? EnDerr seems to think so, and I actually think either way, it's a very small margin one way or the other. I think on Submarine, you can't really do this because it's too short, but it's actually a cool adjustment. It just shows EnDerr, he plays to the beat of his own drums. He's like, no, you don't need to build Zerglings at the start. Like, just have 2 more workers. Even if you have to take a little bit more damage, you've got more economy to absorb it with.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see him play that way too, because it's often something that you would brand the very greedy Zergs with, you know, the ones that want that maximum drone count as soon as possible. Whereas EnDerr can really go either way with that. Oh, 1 drone will go down here with that Reaper. Not quite a second one, but hey, the Reaper tax has been paid.
Second gas Bailey Nest going down. Looks like a 2-base muta build here. 4 Queens straight into that lair. Now, this is pretty good versus Battle Cruiser, but it's a 3rd command center. In this case, for RazerBlader. If RazerBlader goes out, he can catch that Overlord. I think the Overlord, if it sacks, it will easily see this command center. But you've already seen EnDerr committing pretty hard to 2-base muta here. I actually think this is a great matchup of builds for RazerBlader. If he just swaps that factory off after 4 or 6 Hellions, builds 2 more barracks, it's going to be great. Unfortunately, he does not catch the Overlord, and EnDerr now has the confirmation. He knows he's going to be up against the Terran, who's taking a super duper quick 3rd base.
And with that lair finishing up, he could maybe dump a bit of creep there, but That would be a small delay at best. There's that spire popping down next to the bay nest in a not so easy spot to see. And we'll see if those Hellions can get anything done. Mostly creep denial, I'm envisioning. But, you know, there's always a slight risk that he gets some drones, and there goes that Overlord.
Yeah, kind of hard to dive when they're only on 2 bases like this, and there does seem to be enough Zerglings and Queens, but I like the poking around from RazerBlader, and he was hoping to catch EnDerr being a bit greedy. Isn't going to be able to do it. I like this wriggle, though. Ooh, yeah, gets behind the minerals. Hellions taking some damage, but a nice lineup on the Zerglings. And it's a trade with only 2 Hellions going down at the end of it. Behind this, of course, the double upgrades are about to start. The 3 barracks are going to start pumping their production. Now, interestingly, RazerBlader is not swapping his barracks and factory around. Instead, says, no, let's just pump out some Widow Mines straight away so I have the beginnings to this defense against the Mutalisk. So Marines and Mines, I mean, they're fantastic for defending Mutaling Bane. But, of course, there's going to be a lot of mobility on EnDerr's side. Those Mutas are going to be able to dance around, try and punish the 3-base setup. And it's going to be about RazerBlader just defending the Mutas with minimal damage and then trying to get his Marine Mine parades going. And this is going to be a very different game to the previous ones where he was kind of behind going into the mid game. This time around, it would really require a big mistake on his part to take a lot of damage to these Mutas. The Mutas aren't going to get here till close to 7 minutes. He's had plenty of time to prepare, scouted it early. RazerBlader knows exactly what he's up against.
Yeah, I think this is a strength of his to go on that 3cc against the Muta play. He pulled this out against Mia to sneak into the playoffs here. He pulled it out against Mia again last season in one of the most insane games we've ever seen on Ice and Chrome. Just that biomine play, keeping a mass Muta player at bay with tons of Ling harass. I think he really is strong against this style when he's got that big economy behind him. And this could be the right setup for him to start getting some points on the board here. Uh-oh, combat shields at risk.
Combat shields will go down there. Nicely done here by EnDerr. Bounces back. Goodbye, Viking. One Mutalisk does pay for that. Combat shields, I mean, it's not the end of the world losing that. It's just a good disruption, you know? Picks off an SCV, gets another depot, is able to bounce around. We're talking about trying to minimize damage. Well, RazerBlader really needs to split Marines in that main base, but he hasn't done it. He's trying to build turrets there, but if EnDerr just bounces back in, he's going to get even more damage done, and I feel like RazerBlader is setting himself up for huge problems in the next minute or two. Luckily for him, EnDerr's taking a slight break, but there's even Zerglings getting ready for a run by, as well as Banelings, and RazerBlader now finally does set up to cover both bases, but you can see that he keeps kind of massing his units together a little bit much. Definitely a player who's you know, kind of gathering the whole army together a little bit more. And it's hard in this chaotic situation because it's the Zerg who's kind of pulling you around. And I keep kind of looking at RazerBlader's camera, and he's actually not got any real control groups for his units.
Oh, pig, no! Oh, that whole mineral line gets destroyed. Oh, RazerBlader.
Oh, no. He had no idea. He was staring at that 3rd base the whole time. Oh, that's rough. That's very, very rough. This was such a good start for him this time as well, but the Mutas have found some damage. That finds damage as well, and he's so blind on this map. RazerBlader is pushing out now. His shields is not done. He doesn't see anything ahead of his army. I mean, I like that he's getting the push going, but he's got to be careful.
There are 2 mines on the side of that natural base where the Mutas are harassing right now, but it looks like he is able to juke the damage, and that's the one on the ramp. I actually really love the mine positionings from RazerBlader, but it's just not quite enough. And so many more SCVs are going down. RazerBlader has arrived at the 3rd base of EnDerr, but so much damage is being done behind this. If EnDerr cleans this up, I don't know if RazerBlader has anything left.
Yeah, I mean, RazerBlader is trying to push in on the 4th right now, but EnDerr is so patient, just rolling handfuls of Banelings in, biding his time. Mutas are on top of the production, and RazerBlader just unable to get back control of this area. He's trying to rally his Marines to fight this. Oh, a big Widow Mine lands on the Mutas at home, but at the same time, EnDerr cleans up. Oh! Wow.
Ooh, some spicy mine hits there. That's a small win for him. Oh, the Mutas in the main base also starting to get thinned out. I think he ended up with like 4 in the end there left over. More Mutas being made here though. He'll be back up to 10 to 12 in just a moment, and RazerBlader has been bullied off the map. Sitting at 47 workers, he's slowly been making a couple of SCVs back, but it looks like he's stopped that production for the moment.
Yeah, I mean, this is just EnDerr grabbing control. I like the change up here in map 3. 2 base Muta to get control I mean, I really feel like the 3cc could be amazing against it into bio, but I think the lack of Marines being ready in the main base, you know, he was so focused on defending the third early. Those mutas bounced back and forwards, and you could see that RazerBlader kind of just got a little bit behind on his ability to defend everything, and Baneling's coming in on the third. Mutas on the bottom left come in first. The classic 1-2 punch. He's not looking in. Goodbye, SCVs.
Oh man, he gets up all of them bar 1-2, and he gets some of the army at the end there. This is really not RazerBlader's best showing. He's looking pretty scattered here. He just can't really find his rhythm again. And yeah, he's doing it real tough. He just keeps taking hit after hit from EnDerr.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see RazerBlader, because you can see he's got some amazing ways of doing things, but I just don't think he's used to the way EnDerr keeps on doing stuff. And wow. Well, one last chance here. That was a huge mine hit. There's only 3 Banelings left alive. Maybe, just maybe, can RazerBlader make some magic happen? I mean, I think the chances are still quite dim, but you never know here. Pulls back up the ramp. The Widow Mine. Oh my god, Traitor Mine! Absolute traitor Widow Mine there. Does take a big chunk of hit points out of those Marines, as well as killing a few of them. And now with no mines left guarding them, the Ling Bane is just going to be dominant in this fight. EnDerr actually flanks around and says, hey, that bridge, that high ground, that little series of steps, it's mine now. Nowhere to retreat. Mutas will take out the medevacs. Ling Bane will surround everything else. And with that, RazerBlader is going to have to tap out of this game.
Yes, a valiant effort to try and save it in the last moments of this game, but RazerBlader is running on empty. His forces have failed to make an impact on EnDerr's side of the map. He's sitting on 5 bases. He's now thinking about a hive and continuing this aggression against his opponent, able to trade out, able to pick off bits and pieces with these mutas as well. And he's still just got infinite control over RazerBlader, who's been a bit stuck, sort of running after him, trying to minimize the damage and inadvertently not paying attention to his mineral lines at the moment that EnDerr is rolling in there. So maybe one last push here with this amount of mines, but I think that's going to be about it.
EnDerr here moving down the right-hand side of the map. Mutas rotating around the left. Really like this fluid control from EnDerr. You know, both players here are really just wanting to try and dictate where the action is, but it's been EnDerr start to finish this series. We really haven't had RazerBlader really getting any chance to initiate engagements. The start of the series was him doing a Hellbat timing attack where he just got backstabbed by Zerglings and Banelings were ready to greet it. That was like the only real attack I feel RazerBlader has been able to execute in anything close to his terms. Other than that, it has been all EnDerr so far. RazerBlader is one more time going to try and set up a nice spread, but every time he does this, it's always so desperate that EnDerr can simply fall back, bide his time, and then trickle Banelings into it until he's ready to engage. And once again, EnDerr jumps forward on the bio. A few good mines defend. They do damage all the Widow mines, though, and there's plenty more behind that.
All these mutas are actually getting pretty sorted out on the other side of the map. The 20 workers have gone down. The lifts are forced on the front lines there for EnDerr. And he's got plenty left over to deal with whatever RazerBlader has left to dump into the main base there. Plenty of mutas surviving despite the onslaught of mine hits and a little bit of marine stimming. 10 on the other side of the map, 10 yet to hatch. And RazerBlader just looking for any bit of damage you can possibly get done.
Yeah, normally dropping individual Marines and Marauders on Banelings is a really good trade because it means that you're trading often, you know, 1 Marine for 2 Banelings. But in this case, you would need to trade 1 Marine for 14 Banelings to be efficient for the scenario, you know, situational efficiency. It's like in terms of where you're at in this game economically, how efficient do you need to be to get back in it? Well, each Widow Mine needs to kill the whole army. Otherwise, I don't think you can do it. That's so many Mutas and Banes. And it turns out the SCV pool of the boys here, a stylish way to go out for RazerBlader. And no doubt realizing, of course, that was a desperate maneuver. But why not go out in a flash and bring the Drilly Boys